This is the Nathan Ivey Show. Get ready to be engaged. Get ready to be informed. Get ready to be enraged by the man City Beat magazine called a talk radio rebel. And your host, now back to the show.
And if by magic, as if by magic, I reappear. Back from my hiatus. Politicking on the latest, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio. This is the last honest place in the city of Cincinnati. And that's a fact that will become very apparent, more apparent to you in the next couple of minutes. Stick around. 513-873-7134. Good morning. Good morning, choppers. Let's chop it up. 21st Century Talk, straight from the internet. The future of talk radio is on the internet. We're here first. The Nathan Ivey Show, the Chop Shop, Cincinnati's 53rd neighborhood, is very first digital neighborhood. And this morning, I want to spit truth to power. I want to challenge maybe some conventional wisdoms. And I want to spend some time talking about the Cincinnati Black Agenda. I want to talk about the Mayor John Cranley in the context of his ongoing feud between Dwight Tillery. Is this just election year politics? Is the Cincinnati Black Agenda really Dwight Tillery's agenda against the white Democrat Mayor John Cranley? Oh yeah, I said it. I meant it. Is the Cincinnati Black Agenda really just Dwight Tillery's agenda against the mayor of Cincinnati? The city of Cincinnati is nearly 50% African American. I've heard numbers everywhere from 42 to 48%. So we'll say nearly. And Dwight Tillery's roots run really deep here in the city of Cincinnati. Of course, he's the CEO of the Center for Closing the Health Gap. The Center for Closing the Health Gap is a nonprofit organization that is now is under audit by the city of Cincinnati after numerous news articles, news reports questioning whether taxpayer dollars are being spent wisely. And yesterday there was a big meeting down at City Council. From what I'm reading, nearly 150 people packed into the council chambers. And they voiced their displeasure. And things are going racial. And this is exactly what Dwight Tillery wanted, right? Now, Dwight Tillery appears to be a very powerful man in the city of Cincinnati, but I don't give a damn. I didn't start this to not speak my mind about anybody that I should choose. And this morning, I want to talk about what's going on here because I think Cincinnati is being led astray. And I've been talking around this for some time, but now I'm all but convinced. It's 2016 and we still fighting the same black-white battles. You know, you should question people that are willing to pit the races together just to benefit them. I feel like on some levels, that's what Dwight Tillery's doing. If you had a nonprofit organization that the CEO was a white person, right? And he started using those taxpayer dollars. If he started an interest group or however you want to look at the Cincinnati Black Agenda, using money that's supposed to go for this nonprofit, and it was called the Cincinnati White Agenda or the Cincinnati Alt Agenda, black folks would be in the streets. So miss me with this whole, they just going after Tillery because he's a black guy. No, that's not true. I don't believe that one bit. If you're a nonprofit and you're getting city dollars and you start another interest group and align yourself with people who are running against the mayor, you might get audited, period. I don't care who you are, black, white, Indian, German American, Italian American. That's just the way life works. You come for me, I come for you. And I was not able to attend the big meeting at City Council yesterday, but I've talked to at least one person who was in attendance, and it was emotional. Tempers were flaring. Is the city of Cincinnati, is John Cranley, is he targeting the Center for Closing the Health Gap because Dwight Tillery's black? Well, it begs the question, if John Cranley is such a racist, then why was he giving increasing amounts of taxpayer dollars to the Center for Closing the Health Gap since it opened its doors? Or since John Cranley has been the mayor? Doesn't make any sense. Here's what makes more sense. Dwight Tillery and John Cranley fell out. And now Dwight Tillery is whipping the black community into a frenzy. He's playing the race card, call it what it is. Straight from the O.J. Simpson era, straight to 2017 in Cincinnati. He's playing the race card to try to leverage the black community against the white male Democrat in a city that's half black, and he knows he has two black challengers coming up for the primary in May. That's what's going on here. And anybody who says anything else, well, guess you got a different opinion, but to me, it's very obvious. I've gone to several Black Cincinnati Agenda meetings. There's very few young people in the room. You know why? Because young people can sniff out BS. They see it for what it is. They don't want to be a part of this. Every time I go, and in the meeting, in the images I saw from a city council, is a lot of older African Americans, right? Who probably voted for Tillery 20 years ago when he was the mayor. They probably grown up with Tillery. They went to school with Tillery. They know Tillery. They trust Tillery. They hear Tillery on the only station, the only corporate radio station does any talk radio. They've been hearing him for years. They hear these ads on that particular station. They're familiar with him. But that don't mean he's right. I don't have time to waste. Cincinnati doesn't have time to waste on another wild goose chase that's going to lead to nothing. Yet another black versus white. I mean, come on, folks. We got to be a little bit deeper than that. I saw a woman by the name of Zakia. She is a frequent voice in local talk radio and listened to my show for years. If I see her out or I see Zakia, she'll say, "What's up?" She'll ask about Little Buddha, the whole 9 yards. And apparently she was going ham. That's hard as a mother down in city council. For what? For what? Number one, if you're a nonprofit and you're getting taxpayer dollars and the news article comes out, I don't care if it's owned by a black person or not owned, but if the CEO is black, I don't care if the mission statement's for the black community or the white community. If there are serious questions or it appears that you are not living up to your side of the bargain, you might get an audit, period. And do I think that this audit was politically motivated? Of course I do. But who took the first shot here, though? Let's be fair. Who took the first shot? Meaning, we don't know what happened behind the scenes. I mean, there's speculation as to why Mr. and former Mayor Dwight Tillery, currently the CEO for the Center for Closing the Health Gap, and the current Mayor John Cranley, white Democrat, have fallen out. What we do know is that Dwight Tillery started the Cincinnati Black Agenda. What in the hell does Michael Eric Dyson have to do with Cincinnati? Nothing. What is, listen, props to Roland, gave me mass props at the RNC, never forget it, bro. But what does Roland Martin have to do with Cincinnati? Not a damn thing. Nothing. And I was there. I mean, he said a lot of great things. I mean, it was a lot of information, little nuggets, right, of wisdom. That was great. But now he's gone, and what do we have for it? Nothing. Nothing. I'm keeping it real with you. And I'm saying things to you that other folks in the media wouldn't dare say. They don't have the courage. They don't have the flexibility. There's too many tentacles, too many connections. But again, I didn't start this platform to not say exactly how I feel, bar none, period. And there's no one listening to me right now that can tell me that I'm wrong. Nobody. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows this is some BS. Everybody knows that this black agenda is really Dwight Tillery's agenda. Or is it? That is my question for you this morning. That's what it appears to be. Black Cincinnati does not necessarily come out ahead by having another tired-ass black versus white argument about something that Dwight Tillery started. We ain't got time for this. There are so many other issues that this Dwight Tillery stuff is going to suck all of the air, all of the attention out of the room. And after the election, we're going to be left with nothing again. But that's how I feel, straight up. I don't want to be played. I've been talking around this. No more of that. I'm going to speak very directly. Is the Cincinnati Black Agenda really Dwight Tillery's agenda against Cranley? And I've talked to a lot of people. There's a lot of people who are not happy with John Cranley. They don't like his personality. They don't like the way he does business. I understand it. That's separate from whether the black community should go all in with this just because Dwight Tillery says so. And see, the way the game works is, see, most cons, I'm not going to call it a con, all the way around, but I think there's some elements in it. But see, most con games, con is short for confidence, a confidence man. Most people get conned by people that they have confidence in. Some of the biggest cons have an element of truth in them. So when you hear Dwight Tillery and others saying, well, black people are being overlooked. Well, there's a general feeling inside the black community that black people are being overlooked in Cincinnati. So people are like, he's real. He's real. There's a general sense that perhaps in terms of tax dollars and divvying up where the money goes in the city, that maybe black people in the city are not getting their fair share. There's a legitimate concern about that. And I was going to limb to say that perhaps they're right. But that don't mean that everything that Dwight Tillery's doing right now is righteous and above board, and that's the right way to go. I don't want to go down this road again. You got a local nonprofit, CEO, and here we go with the black-white thing again. How do we come out ahead? Now, Tillery might come out ahead because he might be able to put enough pressure on John Cranley during an election year to get what he wants. Let's say he wants more funding for the Center for Closing the Health Gap. Okay. I see what Tillery might get out of it. What are you getting out of it? Black folks need to stop. Some black folks, man, are just happy to be close to somebody else that's got something, that's got some money. Some black folks are like that. I'm not one of them black folks. I'm talking about what's real, what's tangible, what's progressive, what'll move the city forward. And I just don't understand how here we go again. All the black folks getting riled up. They got their signs and don't even know what they upset about. Don't even know. They have no idea about what's really going on. But I'm not that dude. I'm not that dude. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. And if the Center for Closing the Health Gap is their funding decreases, I blame Tillery. It's his fault. You want to shake it all up? You're going to challenge the system? Go right ahead. That comes with some risks. I'm not sure if that's what's going to happen. And again, I know some of the folks who work over there, and I hate to see anybody without a job. That would be that doesn't benefit anybody. But, now that the games is at play, what's going to happen is what's going to happen. So I'll say it again, as I've been saying for weeks, Cincinnati needs a black agenda if it's about the black agenda and not just about Tillery trying to strong arm the mayor to get more money or I'm going to show you, this kind of thing. Some tells me, I don't know Dwight Tillery like that, but some tells me he's got that in him. These are my opinion. This is my personal opinion. For those who might disagree, Cincinnati has too many issues to get sidetracked on some 1980, 1990, turn of the century, 2000 year, black, white, same old argument. Again, I'm not saying that, and we all understand that a lot of the issues, right, that were brought up inside the black community, the black agenda, those committees, the subcommittees, sounds like great work. Let's get to that then. Let's get to the various ideas that people brought up in the committees and not just about Tillery versus the mayor. Period. And again, if you go to any of these Cincinnati Black Agendas, you're going to see a lot of people that's like 55 and up. Why? Because that's Tillery's base. Young people not paying attention, or they can see through the BS already and they don't have time for that. They don't have time for it. I've talked to people. And again, I say no names. I betray no allegiances ever. Who have told me the same thing I'm telling you. Now, they might not go on record because, for whatever reason. But I don't have those qualms. Cincinnati needs a real Black Agenda, not just agenda that was brought up to give Tillery a little bit more sway, a little bit more power. Like, for instance, let's say there was no Cincinnati Black Agenda and Dwight Tillery was like, look, we need more money, for the Center for Closing the Health Gap. Without 150 people, without a name, without an issue, without an agenda, his voice isn't as loud. And I love the mission statement of the Cincinnati, the Center for Closing the Health Gap. I love the mission statement. We do need to close those health gaps. But that don't necessarily mean that they need the money that they've asked for at the levels they'd asked for. That doesn't necessarily mean that. It doesn't mean that there can't be numerous ways to combat those issues. Don't let yourself get played, Black Cincinnatians. Don't get caught up with that black-white ish. Look at it critically. Look at it very critically. I know that's hard for some black folks. They just can't separate the blackness from what's going on. But I don't have those issues. I can see things clearly for what they are. And clearly, this looks like some BS. I'll say it again. What in the hell does Michael Eric Dyson have to do about Cincinnati? How is that closing the health gap? Now, listen, I'm a practitioner in the rhetorical arts. I can make a good argument and support a lot of different things that may not necessarily make sense. I can make an argument, but I've not heard that argument from anybody as to how Roland Martin coming to Cincinnati is closing the health gap. I've not heard that argument. That's a legitimate question. If he were white, if Dwight Tillery were white, and he took tax dollars to start the Cincinnati White Agenda or the Cincinnati Alt Agenda, and it appeared that it was a bunch of white folks on some racial stuff, this city would be at arms. And you would. Wait a minute, how could you do that? Where are your allegiances? What about the taxpayer dollars? So black or white, it's fair to ask that question. It's fair to ask that question. And some people have the courage to do so, and some people don't. You know me, I keep it real with you. And there's nothing wrong with asking the question. Anybody that's got a problem with my question is probably really deep in the Tillery camp, or they really, really, really deep in the whole black-white thing in the city of Cincinnati, and they really can't see it for what it really is. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. The big meeting yesterday. Did you go to the big meeting? A series of big meetings. And I read about 150 people basically turned up down at city council yesterday. And that's exactly what Tillery wanted. I bet he was smiling inside like, yeah, keep rolling with me. I'm going to get this cake. And listen, I have reached out to Mr. Tillery numerous times. I'm not going to do it any damn more. I'm not begging for an interview with anybody in this universe, let alone Dwight Tillery. I was in the office, in his office, and spoke with his media specialist. What else can you do? So without further evidence or without further commentary or input, I'm arriving at my own decisions at this point. And this don't look right to me. And see, the thing about it is Tillery is extremely smart because he knows that Black Cincinnati is thirsty for anything. Black Cincinnati was thirsty for an agenda. Black Cincinnati needs an agenda. And Tillery has the connects. Through the Center for Closing the Health Gap, he had the money. And it was the right time. And he has aligned himself with the forces who would benefit if John Cranley does not win. He's aligned himself with people who are running against John Cranley. I mean, I'm not here to tell you that Mr. Dwight Tillery is not a smart man. I'm just here to tell you I can see right through it. You see right through it. It's a waste of time. Let's talk about the various issues that were brought up in the committee. I know. I was there. Okay? There's a lot more issues going on. And here's what you got to ask yourself. Is the number one problem in Cincinnati the white Democrat mayor? That would be John Cranley. Because I'd have to say no. And that's not an endorsement on any levels of John Cranley. That's just real. Now, I'm not here to tell you that, hey, maybe you want to vote for Miss Yvette Simpson and Councilwoman Yvette Simpson. Maybe you want to vote for Mr. Rob Richardson Jr. That's your decision. I'm just here to tell you that if I was making a list, like if I had a Cincinnati Black Agenda, there'd be a lot of things on that list. At the top of that list would not be the white Democrat Mayor John Cranley. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I would love to hear your argument on that one. I'd love to hear your argument at 513-873-7134, if in fact that is your argument. I would love to hear that. I think we have numerous other issues. And I'll say it again, Cincinnati and Black Cincinnati will never reach those goals if we are always on some black-white-ish. It is never going to happen. It ain't going to happen. A few people will strong-arm the system and get some money, like Tillery. I'll say it again. A few black people might be able to strong-arm the system, shake the leaves, so to speak, and some money will shake out. But the rest of you ain't getting nothing. You ain't getting nothing. What are you getting out of this? Nothing. Nothing. So, and I haven't even talked about, and again, this information will come out as to the audit and some of these food pantries where they properly stocked. That's legitimate. And I don't know the answer to the question. But if the answer is that the Center for Closing the Health Gap wasn't living up to what they said they were going to do, then it begs the question, how can you find time to have Roland Martin in town, but you can't find time to put fruits, vegetables in places in the black community? See, again, I did not start this not to speak my mind and say exactly how I feel. Bar none. Period. And you cannot tell me that the questions I'm putting in front of you are not legitimate. And very legitimate questions. Extremely legitimate. But you will have to do your own due diligence, your own research. You will have to make your own decision. But I'm like, here we go again. See, my biggest issue with the mayoral race, as with city council race, is that we get caught up on some dumb-ish. And we completely obscure and overlook the issues that are much more serious in our community. And here we go again. I don't want the mayor's race to be a referendum between Tillery and Cranley. It's not right. It's not fair to Black Cincinnati for Tillery to suck all of the media attention, take all of it just for him and his nonprofit. It ain't fair. Period. I don't care what kind of work they're doing over there. I'm assuming they're doing excellent work. But even still, there are multiple issues facing us in the city of Cincinnati. And there is no way in hell, I'm telling you this, Black Cincinnati, there is no way that black people are going to huddle up together in a room and they're going to transform our communities all by themselves. It has never happened outside of a few separate isolated incidences, Nation of Islam, you could say that, Black Panthers many years ago, but we know what happened to them. That's what I'm talking. I'm talking about a black agenda that has something that's tangible and real for Black Cincinnati. And I'm a big believer that, see, there's a tale of two Cincinnatis. You have a white Cincinnati and a Black Cincinnati. This is not, I didn't write this story. I'm living this story. And it is perfect. I think that it is very accurately captured in a 2015 State of the City report done by some good folks here in the city of Cincinnati. And it perfectly quantifies, okay, we're talking about data, numbers, that's what matters. It quantifies the dualities, right? The differences between the black experience and the white experience in the same city, same zip code even. And I don't think that anybody should exploit what are very real issues. Don't exploit those gaps just so your organization can get more money. Don't exploit those gaps, Mr. Tillery, just so you can show John Cranley you still got juice. I still got the juice. Okay, you got the juice. We'll see. We'll see. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. You can also enter the Chop Shop. And to do so, if you're listening, it's very, very easy. You can go to my Facebook page and enter that way. You can go to my Spreaker page, enter that way. The best way, I guess, the most accurate and comprehensive way, right? Sort of a catch-all way is go to nathanivey.com. At the very top of the front page, you're going to see the player, so to speak. Just press play. Or if you click on the title of today's show, it will take you to my Spreaker page. It'll take you to the comment section, and then you can enter the Chop Shop, so to speak. Damn, I feel like I've been going off. Can you tell how passionate I am about this? I'm sick and tired of it, man. We will never get to where the city needs to be if we keep playing the same old games. And this feels like a game straight from like 15, 16 years ago. What is this, 1999? We need to grow up, progress. So I understand what Tillery's in it for them dollars. Tillery's making $200,000 a year for this as the CEO of the as the CEO for the Center for Closing the Health Gap. He's nearly in the 1%. Everybody else in Cincinnati struggling. So, okay, great. The Center for Closing the Health Gap, they get their funding. They do what they do. They have an impact in the community. That is great. But I'll say it again. There are multiple issues in the city of Cincinnati that need to be discussed that concern the black community, not just what's happening with Dwight Tillery. Damn, that's arrogant. That's arrogant as hell. I don't care what nobody says. That's super arrogant. You're just going to dominate, okay? So the Cincinnati Black Agenda is just about you and your organization. I don't believe that. And you can play those games what you want to. If you want to, you play those same old games, you're going to get the same old results, period. You know it, and I know it. Black Cincinnati needs to wake up. We need another agenda. We need competing agendas. But see, that's what happens when you just have one. When you just have one, it's easy to control. Just like when you just have one media station. It's easy to control. It's easy to influence. Stop me when I'm wrong, choppers. You know this to be true. You know this true. This is a morning when you definitely need independent media. Absolutely. That can tell the story and, share a viewpoint that others may be shy. Okay. They may not have the courage. It could be the connections of money. You know what I'm saying? I know that the Center for Closing the Health Gap, they spend a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? With the former buzz. Okay. That's great. That's a beautiful thing. You got to get the word out. But will that have any impact on the commentary? Because I'm coming raw to you, straight up, bar none. And I think it needs to be said like that. Very, very, for somebody to stand up and keep it real. Somebody. Now, everyone's not going to hear this show. Okay. We're like the little engine that could, but we're not stopping. We cannot be stopped, but we grow every single day. One day, the entire city will have to listen. And, in that way, perhaps we can influence the conversation. I don't have to be right. This is just my opinion. And again, if you disagree, you already know my plan my thoughts on that. We can always agree to disagree. But I want to hear your thoughts specifically if you live in the city of Cincinnati. I want to get your thoughts on that. But first,
I hear the chopper's coming. I hear the chopper's coming.
My favorite part of the show, I got to greet the choppers. Let me back up here inside the chop shop and say good morning to Chuck. Chuck's number one. What's up, Chuck? He writes, good morning, Nate, and the chop shop. Followed by Deanna. Deanna writes, good morning, family. And Tiffany. Tiffany writes, present. Good to see all three of you. Good to see everyone. That's your top three in the chop shop for today, Thursday, March 16th, 2017. Coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio. That's Chuck, Deanna, and Tiffany. Followed by Cincy Tigress. She writes morning. Charles writes morning, everyone. Pan writes good morning. Kush writes be great today, choppers. Roosevelt writes top of the morning, family. Avery writes good morning. Dale writes good morning, fam. Braxton writes, why the hell was Iris Rowley yelling so damn loud at city council meeting yesterday while citizens were giving testimony? I was there and had to leave after 20 minutes because she was so damn loud. Aside from that, Braxton, tell us more. Jill writes, good morning, all. Braxton writes, I nominate Dwight Tillery for Pimp of the Year. Pip, pip, hooray! You're wrong for that. We don't have that yet. We don't have Pimp of the Year. I'm not here to be pimped by anybody. Slogo writes, good morning, Nate. Good morning, Choppers. X-Squad affiliates salute. We rise together, X-Squad affiliates. If you're like, who's the X-Squad affiliates? That's an affiliation of primarily African-American podcasters, and they do great work. I mean, if you're into podcasting, primarily many of them are based on the Spreaker network. And all you got to do is go X-Squad, search for X-Squad, X-Squad. And many of the podcasts will come up. You can also go to the website as well and check it out. Sports, sex, current events. Now, that's what I'm talking about. See, that's black folks coming together across the United States. We need more of that in the city of Cincinnati. We need less division and more coalition. That's what we need. Carolyn writes, good morning, Chop Shop. Deborah writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Rhonda writes, good morning, beautiful people in the Chop Shop. Angela writes, good morning, all. Grafton writes, amen, Nathan, on Dwight Tillery. The so-called Black Agenda is Tillery's agenda. Anybody who would say anything different hasn't really thought it all the way through. That's all I'll say. They haven't really thought all the way through. They've got something to get out. They're trying to get something out of it. Or they're really caught up with the black-white thing. They're really caught up with the black-white thing. But I think it's very hard to look at the Cincinnati Black Agenda and not say, oh, that's Tillery's agenda against Cranley. Because if it's not, okay, great. Why don't we push the whole funding for the Center for Closing Healthcare? Let's push that to the back burner. And let's put on Front Street, because a lot of people, I know for a fact, because I watched them, a lot of people spend a lot of their time, at the Black Agenda, going to these committee meetings, writing stuff on the chalkboard, writing down all these issues. Can we get to those issues? Can we get to those issues? Because that would be proper, in my opinion. Let's put the whole Center for the Closing the Health Gap, because that's a self-inflicted wound by Tillery, quite honestly. You shook that cage with the mayor. What'd you think was going to happen? If the mayor was black and Tillery did that, he'd probably still get an audit. Don't let people fool you. That's human nature. Somebody come for you. You want to bite the hand that feeds you? Okay, we'll see how much you get fed. That's black, white, green. It doesn't really matter. That's human nature. I'm not sure how many green people are out there that are humans, but you get my point. You follow along. You understand what I'm saying? So don't let these people get you all whipped into a frenzy because they say so. Really sit down and think about it. Just really sit down and think about where this leads logically and what does the black community really get out of it. I mean, listen, I'd love to see Michael Air Dyson again. I mean, what's next? Concerts? They're going to start sponsoring concerts, speakeasies. I mean, they should bring Killer Mike in next year. I mean, if we're bringing in guests, if that's what the Black Agenda is all about, bringing in speakers, I want to see Ta-Nehisi Coates. I want to see Killer Mike. A lot of names come to mind, actually. I mean, is there like a request line? Because I want to put in a request for some speakers, too. Oh, my God. Tanika writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Kiki writes, great rises, Mr. Ivy. Jerica writes, morning. Casey writes, good morning, Choppers. Sending powerful vibrations to the team. Scott writes, morning, Chop Shop. See, a lot of black folks ain't feeling me on this. A lot of black folks. You got a lot of black elites in the city that may not be feeling me on this. And that's okay. But tell me if I'm lying. Tell me if I'm wrong about something. Tell me if I'm out here, putting out poison, or am I giving you something to think about? We got to get beyond black, white, and black versus white, and get to black and white working together, pushing the city forward. That's what we have to get to, period. And listen, if you gotta challenge the system and use the race car, if it's in a righteous endeavor, if it was about pushing the various issues that so many people spend a lot of time working on, I'm all with it. But a lot of people in this city just don't like John Cranley. There's some people that just don't like John Cranley. And okay, that's great. You don't like John Cranley. All right. I don't really know him like that. I've heard all these stories. I'm not in city council. I'm not in city hall on a regular basis. I've got a totally different type of, relationship. Okay. So I've never really seen that. I'll take people for their word. Okay, great. But what's that have to do with asking for how the Center for Closing the Health Gap is spending their money? That's two completely different issues. And again, if you take the race out of it, if you're a nonprofit and you're getting money from the city, you're subject to an audit. That goes for anybody. Now, people can say, well, anytime somebody black is running something, they want to try to take it away from us. I've heard this. See, there you go. They got you. They got you. Craig writes, what's up, Nathan the Choppers? Brandon writes, good morning, Chop Shop and Nathan. Brian writes, morning. Miss D writes, good morning. Angela writes, interesting. Craig writes, Nate, game recognizes game. That's why Tillery want me to talk with you, because you see right through the BS. I don't know if it's that or we're just insignificant and small here. Like Cincinnati, listen, if you want to talk to black Cincinnati, Cincinnatians have already been programmed to go to one radio station. So what we doing over here don't really touch Mr. Tillery. He looks at us like, waste of time. Okay, that's great. That's not going to stop me from, just being who I am. I'm not going to be overboard or underboard in my critiques of Mr. Tillery because of it. It's going to be the same, whether he came on the show or not. This is my straight up, honest opinion, and it's dominating local airways. People are talking about it. So we'll talk about it. Adele writes, Nate, you are woke this morning. You are raising some good and very interesting points. I'm over here at work listening like, yeah. Because this ain't rocket science. Dwight Tillery fell out with Cranley, and now he's making the whole city pay for it. That's what's happening. Dwight Tillery, and maybe Cranley said some crazy stuff to him. I don't know what he said to him. I recently heard, I saw Terrell Owens, he's belly aching about not being in the Hall of Fame. He doesn't care, but he keeps talking about it in the media. Hell, if I was Terrell Owens, I would care about being in the Hall of Fame. I want to be in the Hall of Fame with the other greats. And he was asked a question. He was on Fox Sports 1 on Second Take with Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless asked him a question about Donovan McNabb, right? Because part of the reason why Terrell Owens has been left out of the Hall of Fame is that people look at him and say he has a bad attitude, which I think is extremely paternalistic. And Terrell Owens told the story about how he was in a game. He goes back to the huddle, and Donovan McNabb just cussed at him, told him to shut the F up. Now, it could have been that Dwight Tillery and John Cranley had a similar conversation. John might have just passed him off like, man, like, Negro, please, click. I ain't got time for this. And maybe Dwight got mad and said, hang up the phone on me. You know who I am? I'm Dola White. And so he starts whipping, you know what I'm going to do? Black Agenda. And the fact that you now have two African Americans who are running against the white Democrat incumbent John Cranley in the city of Cincinnati, that's going to catch the attention of a lot of African Americans. Hell, that's half the city. I don't know if African Americans comprise half of the electorate, but that's half of the city. And when a black person in recent elections tell us this, like the last election between John Cranley and Roxanne Qualls, that tells us that when black folks are in the race, when there's a black candidate in the race, black people are more likely to pay attention to it and turn out. So listen, Dwight Tillery is a very smart man with a lot of connects in the city. I know people that won't say a word negative about him on the air. But I'm not in that position. I don't give a damn. I care. But again, I didn't start this to not speak my mind. Cruther writes, $2,000 a year. Tillery said that he was not getting a salary. Okay. Cruther, I'm just telling you what's been reported. Dale writes, with an organization's main focus is to close the health gaps in the black neighborhoods, there's no way we should have food deserts in the black neighborhoods, and you're receiving all that money from the city of Cincinnati. That's a fair statement. But again, I would have to look under the hood and actually do my own analysis. I know what the Inquirer reported, and they had these images of what should have been containers of fresh foods and fruits and vegetables, and it really wasn't there. I know I saw all of that, but I like to do my own analysis. I like to see it with my own eyes. I bet you if you go to those particular pantries, they better be overstocked now. And if it's true, that's despicable. I don't care who the CEO is. That is despicable. But we shall see. We shall see. Mike writes, nothing wrong with Tillery making $200K. Tillery should be a good steward of taxpayer money, but big picture, I stand with the black man. Solidarity over division. I get it. Standing with the black man has gotten the black community where it is right now to some degree. I get it. There's a lot of black folks that's going to stand with the black man. The facts don't matter, right? The real don't matter. I'm going to stand with the black man. Okay. I get it. We are all entitled to our opinions on this. We are all entitled to our opinions. I just want to know what yours is. Grafton writes, so I was there for some of the council public comment. The testimony was all about attacking the mayor. If Tillery is intermingling taxpayer money with his private political action committee, his Black Agenda, then an audit is necessary. A request to audit doesn't equal racism. I agree. So a lot of black people are being led astray again. You're being led astray again. Oh, they're attacking a black man. Who attacked whom first? I mean, let's be real here. Real is real. I know people get caught emotionally, and I'm a black man, and as a black man, I'm supposed to say certain things, but I don't remember. And again, if I missed this, please set me straight. But I do not remember the mayor publicly attacking the Center for Closing the Health Gap. I don't remember that. I don't remember the mayor publicly attacking Mr. Tillery. I don't remember that. I don't recall that. I do not recall that. And so when the Black Agenda took a real political turn at the big meeting over at at the church, the Baptist church over on Reading Road in Avondale, Southern Baptist. I used to attend that church when I was younger. I spent many a days trying to devise a way to sneak out and go play in the park. Yeah. My mother and grandmother would send me to church by myself. We not going, but you going. I'm like, okay. Put my church clothes on, go to church, show up in Bible school study, and I'm out. I'm out of here, man. I'm at the park. Pat writes, good morning. Craig writes, next Black Agenda will be passing out watermelons and turkey tips to the first 100 ticket recipients. You're wrong for that, man. Not watermelon. You should have said turkey tips. That's wrong. That is so wrong. Oh, man. Somebody said I should reach back out to Dwight Tillery. Been there, done that. I've seen emails. I got an email back from a person in his office. She said she was going to talk with him several times. I was over there. I spoke with Miss Mahaffey. I spoke with the communications director in the office at the Center for Closing the Health Gap. Still got no traction. We're just not important enough. See, I don't take it personal. I get upset for my audience. I mean, if you had any idea how many people I checked behind the scenes who I felt disrespected, black media, listen, you'd be quite impressed. I don't take it personal because I know what I do. I take it personal because black folks spend money. We're important. We're in the media. We have an agenda. I mean, we have platforms. We have audience just like everybody else. Just like everybody else. Braxton writes, Tillery doesn't care about black, white for real. Tillery cares about the color green. Craig writes, I can't get past them rotten ass bananas in that picture. There's nothing worse than a picture of a rotten banana, is it? No pun intended. Mr. Hollywood writes, good morning, all. Ms. D writes, right is right and wrong is wrong, regardless of race. Right. Now, as a black man, do I want to see black people succeed and be lifted from the whole post-slavery era, which is which still has an impact today? Of course. Of course. But like I said, this year is very important. The mayor's race is very important. Whether John Cranley wins re-election or not, it is super important. The discussions, the issues. We need to have more on the table than just Tillery's Black Agenda. That's all I'm saying. Well, that's not all I'm saying. I'm saying many things this morning. And my question to you is, hence the title of today's podcast, is the Black Agenda really Tillery's agenda against Cranley? Because that's what it appears like. And now you got all these people running down the city council. I'm not running down the city council. Are you nuts? For what? And I'll say it again. If the next time you go, you look and see how many younger people are in that audience. They're not there because they're not hip. They're hip to the game already. They can see right through it. Ms. D writes, all white people are not against us and all black folks are not for us. Thank you, Ms. D. My grandfather taught me that. Your grandfather taught you that. So let's not forget it just because, people are saying Black Agenda. I'll say this again so people don't mistake my words. I support the idea of a Black Agenda if it's righteous, if it's really about the Black Agenda. But the Black Agenda should be more than just whether the Center for Closing the Health Gap gets more funding. I'm sorry. It's got to be deeper than that. It's got to be more comprehensive than that. It's got to touch more people than that. And so, we saw this happening last year. We saw this happening. I saw this happening when I went to the very first Cincinnati Black Agenda meeting over at Woodward High School. The very first one with Michael Eric Dyson. When I went in, as I was walking in, I peeped game right there. But I didn't really say anything about it. I came back to you. I was very fair and objective. I kept my personal opinion about it to myself because why put it out there unless you got evidence to back it up? I'm not Trump. I had to throw that in. There's no evidence that the Obama administration illegally wiretapped Trump Tower at all. But Trump claims within the next 2 weeks, some amazing information is going to come out. Yeah, okay. But what do you think, Choppers?
I hear the choppers coming. I hear the choppers coming.
Yeah, I hear them too. And we'll get back to the Choppers right after a few messages. 513-873-7134. This is the last honest place in Cincinnati, Ohio. This is the Nathan Ivey Show.
Look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Tired of searching online? 3linkdirectory.com has handpicked tens of thousands of quality links, so you don't have to spend hours searching. Find the best internet links on 3Link Directory. Visit 3linkdirectory.com now. Enjoy quality links sorted in categories like arts, games, health, shopping, sports, travel, and many more on 3linkdirectory.com. That's 3linkdirectory.com.
Juice, Mom. Juice. Mommy, why are we going to the store? Mom, I want juice. Mom, juice. Mommy, Mom.
Your child will have different needs at different stages of life, and that includes the car seat. That's right, the car seat. A car seat isn't one size fits all. You have to have the right seat based on your child's age, weight, and height. See, car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. But there's a website that gives you all the information you need. safercar.gov/the right seat. You'll find out about types of seats, when to have a seat rear facing, when to switch it to forward facing, when it's time for a booster seat, and when it's time for your child to ride in the back seat with a seatbelt. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat. That's safercar.gov/the right seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad
The
Council.
Bloomberg Urban Report, I'm Donna Wilson. Google is expanding on the continent. Google is scaling up investment in Africa by laying fiber optic cable, easing access to cheaper Android phones, and training a workforce in digital skills. About 1 million people in Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa have been trained by Google over the past year. Alongside its U.S. competitors, including Facebook, Google seeks to boost connectivity on the continent to open a new market. By the way, training Africans in digital skills has a large economic impact, larger than just making them employable. It also helps those around them to get online and become job creators and entrepreneurs. In other news, the government says more than 12 million people have signed up for coverage this year under former President Obama's health care law, even as the Republican-led Congress debates its repeal.
The tech show's on this month. You know, I was thinking of looking at home security systems.
Oh, cool. I'll go with you. We're looking for more home security ideas, too. That's why I called Budget Blinds.
Budget Blinds?
Look at this.
A remote for the blinds.
Yep, motorized.
Okay, well, that's beyond cool. I love it. But what does it have to do with home security?
Oh, they also come with a timer. The blinds and drapes open themselves in the morning, close in the evening.
Oh, so it looks like somebody's home even when you're not.
Exactly, and I saved a bunch of money. Sally saved a bunch of money.
Ha, but you'll take the credit.
Yeah.
My brother, the tech genius.
Thanks, man.
Now give me that remote.
Budget Blinds motorized window coverings are the ultimate in luxury, and during the Luxury Within Reach event, they're even more affordable. The more you buy, the more you save, with savings up to $2,000. Hurry and call 855-BUDGET-BLINDS now before this offer ends, or go online to budgetblinds.com. Don't miss out. Call 855-BUDGET-BLINDS now. Offer good on select products at participating independently owned and operated franchises. Restrictions may apply. Ask for details.
That's your Bloomberg Urban Report. I'm Donna Wilson.
My name is Tamaya Dinar, and I'm running for Cincinnati City Council to make your government more accessible to you. We should change city council meetings to 6 p.m. so they're easier to attend. We should have city council host a meeting in all 52 neighborhoods, and we should explore changing our charter to stagger our elections. That way, you hear from council members more than once every 4 years. Government was designed to best service people. It's time we made City Hall more accessible to regular folks like you and me, and not just campaign donors. To find out more, please visit TamayaDinar.com. When elected, I will make City Hall more accessible to you.
Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Good morning. You're listening to The Last Honest Place in Cincinnati, Ohio. This is the Nathan Ivey Show. We go live 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. weekdays. And you can check out the podcast at all time, each and every show on my website, NathanIvey.com. And I'm still stuck on this. Black leaders decry attacks on ex-mayor Dwight Tillery's nonprofit. Here's what's been written. The article was written by Dan Horn and Sharon Coolidge. And people in Cincinnati might know those names. Someone called in last week, maybe early this week, and said that those are the folks that do the hit pieces in the black community. Or they do the hit pieces for the Inquirer in general. You have to make up your own decision on that. But let me read just a little bit from it and maybe provoke some conversation. Yes, I am your friendly neighborhood agent provocateur. More than 150 people showed up to a raucous city council meeting that featured sign-waving protesters, testimonials about the health gap's good work, and angry denunciations of anyone who has examined the group's spending of tax dollars. So let me get this straight. Tillery's like the Teflon Don. He can take taxpayer dollars and we can't even do an audit? Y'all need to wake up, man. That makes no sense whatsoever. And if he was white, black folks wouldn't be saying that. I'm not playing that game. The Health Gap's founder and CEO, former Mayor Dwight Tillery, drew cheers from the crowd when he said the Health Gap and his work are under fire because of racism. I don't believe that. That's a damn lie. I don't believe that one bit. It's under fire because you took shots at the mayor. That's why you're under fire. He said the center, which has received about $3.7 million in city tax dollars in the past decade, has succeeded in its mission to help minorities live healthier lives. Quote, some of you have gotten very frightened by black people coming together to improve our lives. This is all politicking. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That doesn't make any sense. The Center for Closing the Health Gap is under fire. Quite honestly, in my opinion, I have no facts to back this up. In my opinion, it's a retaliation from the mayor because Dwight Tillery formed the Black Agenda and took shots at the mayor first. That's called being a human being. That's called human interaction. Black or white, rich or poor, male or female. If you're the mayor of Cincinnati and somebody who is the CEO of a nonprofit or starts an agenda group and then aligns themselves with people who are trying to get you out of office, you're going to do what you can to retaliate. I don't care who you are. Yvette Simpson can say what she want to say. Rob Richardson Jr. can say what he want to say. If they were the mayor and somebody did that to them, then that nonprofit might get an audit. If you were the mayor and somebody came after you, that nonprofit might get an audit. And don't lie and tell yourself anything different. That's human interaction. It's called politics. That's what we're watching. We're watching politics. Dwight Tillery's a very smart man. Very smart man. And he's got connects. Who didn't see an audit of the Center for Closing the Health Gap coming? I raised my hand. We've been talking about it for weeks on the Nathan Ivey Show. This is obvious. The question for the black community is, do we want to use all of this cachet just talking about the Center for the Closing the Health Gap? What are the various, what is the Black Agenda? Can we get to the Black Agenda, please? That's all I'm asking for. But enough of me. Let's go straight to the phones. Remember, folks, my number, 513-873-7134. I get it. This conversation's not for everybody. I understand it. You always obliged to take a free ride on my thoughts and just check out the show. Just kick back. Let's go straight to the phones. Good morning, caller. How are you?
Hey, Nathan, I'm going to be real quick because I'm pulling in a lot late here. But you're right about, him saying something and then having to get backhanded with an audit because, according to the city, the silly city manager basically said we weren't even reading their invoices. And then all of a sudden, you see an invoice that comes across after he makes a comment, and now you have to audit everything. So, yeah, I believe that this is a form of retaliation. But here's the thing for me, and listen to my question when I ask you this, because this is what I'm thinking. How do we raise our kids to be independent, but yet when we grow up, we have to feel like we need to ask the white man for something? You know what I'm saying? It's like, why do we keep depending on white America, white Cincinnati, white whatever, to give us something like they really owe us something? It's not going to happen. They don't want to do it. If you're wealthy as an African American, get out there and try and create your own and stop waiting on the handout. You're mad at President Obama because he didn't do nothing for black people. You're mad at John Cranley because he's not doing nothing for black Cincinnati. You're mad at the government. When are we going to take, you talk about wealth building. If you are in that 1% of Cincinnati or in America and you're an African American, when are you going to use your own dollars to create what you want? You can. It's possible. We've been conditioned to think that we can't do anything. without white dollars backing it. And it's a new day, and we're getting ready to be out on this island by ourselves, and we better wake up and try and figure out how to get it done. That's all I got to say. I got to run and work. You have a good day.
You too, Tracy. Take it easy. 513-873-7134. Miss D writes, right is right and wrong is wrong, regardless of race. And yes, I do realize I read that once. But I think it's a great point. I want to underscore that because I know a lot of folks here that's caught up on that black stuff, or at least they appear to be caught up on that black stuff. But this is bigger than black and white. This is about the allocation of resources. This is about, okay, what is the agenda for the mayor of Cincinnati? See, I don't want to give the mayor or the city the impression that just by funding the Center for Closing the Health Gap, that you now have addressed the issues of the black community. They are not one and the same. They're not one and the same. And that has nothing to do with me believing that the good folks at the Center for Closing the Health Gap are doing good work. I don't care who you listen. I used to work with a grant, a 21st Century grant, okay, when I worked with kids. And as a part of that grant, and it was a descending grant, meaning that it was a 5-year grant, but every single year you would lose about $25,000. And so as the program director, it was my job to basically run the entire program with that money. And you better damn believe I had to report it. I had to document it weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, every 2 years, every 4 years, every 5 years. That's what happens when you're dealing with taxpayer dollars. Everybody knows that. So all this stuff about it's coming after for racism, miss me with that, Mr. Tillery. Go back in there and get those numbers and document and quantify what you've done. When I'm working with people who like when I'm interacting with people and people who might want to advertise or sponsor the show, you know what they want to know? Numbers. In a lot of cases, they want me to show them, okay, what have you done? How many people are listening? How many clicks? Numbers. Why would it be any different for Tillery? Is he some kind of black superhero? Who is he, Black Jesus? Man, y'all need to stop. It is this audit came down on him because of his actions. You started the Cincinnati Black Agenda. You were the one that had Yvette Simpson on the stage, on the microphone, talking about at least appearing that she would be a better alternative. We know what's going on here. You think Tillery wasn't prepared for this? He didn't know this was a possibility? Of course he did. And the fact that for so long that the invoices were being paid was because John, the mayor, John Cranley, the mayor, and Mr. Tillery had a good relationship. That's the reason why they weren't looking at the invoices. Because remember, folks, and here's what makes this thing all the more interesting, is that 4 years ago, the man who is now went down to city council, he's talking about this is racism. 4 years ago, he was a co-chair to get John Cranley elected. Now, what do you think the payoff for that was? Was it money for the Center for Closing the Health Gap? Probably. That's what it looks like. So now that they fell out, now it's a black-white issue. Hell no. I tell my friends, my male friends, when we go out, if you go into this club and you start something, don't think because I'm 6'4" and crazy with these hands that I'm coming to save you. You started that. Deal with it. Same thing with Tim. You started that. I didn't tell you to start that and provoke that tiger. I didn't tell you to bite the hand that feeds you. You got to deal with it now. But miss me with the whole, it's racism. If it was racism, then why were you getting invoices signed for many years and nobody was even second guessing them? Was it racism then, Mr. Tillery? No, it was all good then. So real is real. Black folks need to wake up and stop buying into this garbage. This is why I'm the last MF with nerve in the city of Cincinnati, because you're not going to get this commentary anywhere else in the city. You ain't going to get it anywhere else. Not for no black folks anyway. They might be listening right now like, oh, Nate's right. We got to jump on this too. But this is what I do all the time. This is an everyday posture. This doesn't make any sense. We have much more serious issues in this city, in this community, than to waste all of this energy over the next, well, we got the primary coming up in May. So let me double check here. So we got March, April. So we got less than 2 months until we get to the primary. I don't want to spend the next 2 months talking about Dwight Tillery. and the Center for Closing the Health Gap. I'm sorry. I would like to talk about Yvette Simpson's plans. I would like to talk about Rob Richardson Jr.'s plans. I would like to talk about the mayor's plans. That's what I want to talk about. But let me get back to this article here. I see Zakiya Allen, 62 of College Hill. What's up, Zakiya? She might be listening. She may not. She looks like she was upset. Ooh, look at that face. She's mad. And there's a black woman here with a sign that reads, "Our vote counts." Yeah, your vote counts, but that's irrelevant. That's a side issue. Black people's vote counting and an audit of the Center for Closing the Health Gap are two completely different things. Your vote can count, and the city might decide that they want to pull back on some of their money for the Center for Closing the Health Gap. Now, I'm not suggesting that, because like I said, I know a few folks that work over there. Good people, good-hearted, community-focused individuals. I'd hate to see anybody without a job, but if their funding gets cut, it's Dwight Tillery's fault. That's whose fault it is. Period. And I don't think anybody can argue against this. From what I'm reading, and again, you can take it for a grain of salt. This article was written by Sharon Coolidge and Dan Horn. For folks who know who those individuals are, you have to make a decision as to whether the veracity of what they're writing. You've got to make that decision. But it is news. Here is what's being reported. I'll add that caveat. Here's another, I'll read more. The Health Gap's leaders did not dispute any of the inquirer's findings and said all of the spending is justified under its contract, which calls for the group to run a, quote, community outreach, awareness and educational effort to combat obesity through physical activity, nutrition, healthy lifestyles, advocacy, and policy changes. Now, I like Roland Martin, but he's not an example of the kind of body I want to have. And there's not a dig at him at all. I got nothing but respect for Roland Martin. I'm just trying to make a point. And again, I can make that argument. I can make that argument right now. I can make a very strong argument that bringing in Michael Eric Dyson, I think it's a strong argument, and bringing in, who else they bring? Roland Martin, and I guess Ta-Nehisi Coates is coming in next. And, listen, I hope they have something on their website so I can put in some names. I want to bring some folks in 2017. I'd love to see a few folks. But what does that have to do with obesity? Combating obesity? Nothing. Let me answer for you. Nothing. And here's a quote as well. This is funny. Tillery, who did not return calls seeking comment prior to publication of the Health Gap articles, described the Inquirer and WCPO journalists as, quote unquote, four white reporters who know nothing about the black community. And this reads, and said coverage of the Health Gap spending has trashed his organization. Well, they should sue then. If the Inquirer has basically damaged the reputation of the Center for Closing the Health Gap with no evidence, sue them then. Take them to court. Go fight for your good name. But if it's true, then the question has to be, why are there no fruits and vegetables in some of these places where you said there were going to be fresh fruits and vegetables? Black people are suffering from food deserts. Everybody's talking about it. I've heard Dwight Tillery talk about it. And how is you can't find time to put fruits and vegetables and fresh bananas where they need to be, but you got time to get on the phone and call Michael Eric Dyson to have him come to town? Stop me when I'm wrong. It's just a question. There is somewhat of a, some say that's an indictment, not a question, but it's just a question. It's a question that needs to be asked, and the black community should be asking that question. Don't let this person or anybody get you off track from what's real by tapping into your emotions. When you start talking about black and white and black folks not getting their due and this is racism, people start going back to the 60s. People start thinking about their own personal issues with racism and how they feel like they've been held back and they feel like their progress has been retarded, and they start thinking about all these other things and examples of racism. I get it. I understand it. I get it. But that's not going to push the city forward, in my opinion. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. Because if the Inquirer lied, that's serious. If those photographs of rotten bananas or whatever it looked to be, this just seemed like it wasn't fully stocked. If those photographs were like doctored, if those photographs were taken like years ago and they're trying to play it off like it was they took them recently, that's a major problem. Take them to court. But if they don't take them to court, that means that maybe it's true. And if it's true, then the question I asked you earlier is completely valid. And I'm reading from an article, Black leaders decry attacks on ex-mayor Dwight Tillery's nonprofit. See, that's the problem with black leadership in this city. It's caught up with the wrong things. That's part of the problem. The black leaders, we need a whole new crop of leadership and black leadership that's committed to pushing our community forward, because they realize that if half of the city of Cincinnati is uplifted, it'll uplift all of the city of Cincinnati. Black leaders decry attack on ex-mayor Dwight Tillery's nonprofit. Who are these black leaders? I don't have a leader. My leader is G-O-D and then W-I-F-E. Y. Wifey. That's it. So who are these leaders? So there's a little piece here. They talk with, looks like they talk with Bishop Bobby Hilton again. Take it for a grain of salt. Some might say that these quotes are misquoted. They didn't really say this. I don't know. Haven't talked to Mr. Bishop Bobby Hilton. When I see him, he always says friendly things to me. He's always nice. But one day I'm going to tell you my Bishop Bobby Hilton story. It's going to burn a hole in your soul. You may look at him a little bit differently, but not today. We'll get to that one day. I'll write it in a book when I write my memoirs. See, look at this. Cranley, who previously has supported spending city money on the health gap, once was close to Tillery and brought him on as co-chair of his 2013 mayoral campaign. Now, let me go back to 2013. In 2013, there were black people, and I was one of them, who were like, wow. Who are all these black people who are trying to convince black people to vote for John Cranley? There was a conversation about that. There was a conversation in certain circles. People were like, wow, this is strange. Why? What is Tillery getting out of this? Why is Tillery riding so hard for John Cranley? Lakita Cole, why was Lakita Cole riding so hard for John Cranley? She even got mad at me because I made a remark, and I guess I was right. So Lakita Cole goes from being 2 inches inside John Cranley's rectum to now she's a part of the Black Agenda. That's amazing to me. But yet people call me, they want to come at me. At least I'm consistent. I question everything. So what happened? That was 2013. What happened? It's 2017. It's only been 4 years. It's only been 4 years. What has happened? That I'd like to know. Here's a quote. The defense of the health gap was organized by Bishop Bobby Hilton, president of the Greater Cincinnati chapter of the National Action Network. He praised the health gap's work, which includes sponsoring an annual health expo, offering classes on healthy cooking, creating educational programs for children and parents, and encouraging convenience stores to carry fruits and vegetables. And, Tillery, I mean, to me, Bishop Bobby Hilton took it a step too far, in my opinion. I would say this to his face. I mean, we don't have to be nasty about it. I mean, everybody's entitled to an opinion. But check out this quote that's being attributed to him. I don't know if he actually said it, but this is a quote that's being attributed to him. He also complained, speaking of Bishop Bobby Hilton, he also complained that scrutiny of the health gap was racially motivated. Now, he know damn well better than that. Bishop Bobby Hilton knows better than that. Quote, the great work of the Center for Closing the Health Gap must continue, Hilton said. Quote, the attacks on the health gap are evil. Evil? Evil, Bishop Bobby Hilton? Evil, really? I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I'm sorry. Evil? So let me get this straight. Tillery's a co-chair of the effort to elect John Cranley. John Cranley's elected over Roxanne Qualls. Lowest turnout in recent history, like 29% of people turned out for that vote. And so Cranley was able to have parts of the black community mobilized for him because of people like Dwight Tillery. Dwight Tillery's a very powerful man. He was a mayor. You know, like I said, I've talked to people and they don't want to say nothing about him on the air. Nothing. Very powerful man, I guess. And because of that, it appears that he got, I won't say he got a blank check, but they were having invoices and the city manager, somebody said they weren't even looking at the invoices. So that's the kind of relationship he had with the city. Let's sit right there for a second. Damn, that must be cool. You helped John Cranley get the black community out. Now he's the mayor. And basically, you get your nonprofit. What does he get? You getting paid now? Millions of dollars. That was 4 years ago. Within the last 4 years, they fall out some way, somehow. And now it's a black thing. Now it's a race thing. That just don't compute, folks. And I know people have different chips and everybody's sort of lining up, and some people are supporting Yvette and some people are supporting Rob, and a lot of people are not supporting the mayor. And because of that, they'll be like, damn, Nate's right, but I ain't gonna rubber stamp that. But you can't tell me I'm wrong. So Bishop Bobby Hilton says it's evil. That's what's wrong with black leadership in this city. And I would say that to Bishop Bobby Hilton. That's what's wrong with leadership in this city. Evil. What's evil is wasting black people's time, this critical time as we get ready to either re-elect the mayor or elect a new mayor. That's critical times. We could be having critical conversations. Meanwhile, it looks like Dwight Tillery and his issues with John Cranley are going to usurp everything. But I'll leave it at that. 513-873-7134. The city manager, Harry Black, said that he's going to take a closer look at several agencies that receive city dollars, including the health gap. So, damn, now some other nonprofit's going to have to pay for this. Councilman Wendell Young described the dispute over the health gap as a part of a long history of racially motivated aggression against African Americans. He knows better than that. Wendell knows better than that. But as I understand it, Wendell's no fan of the current mayor, so he's going to ride with it. He rejected the argument that the media examined the health gap's finances because it had asked for significantly more money this year than in the past. Instead, Young said the scrutiny was based on race and politics. He apologized to Tillery on behalf of the city and said Tillery had been singled out because he is a black leader who had the nerve to come down here and ask for money. No mention of the Black Agenda. No mention of the fact that Tillery has aligned himself with other folks like I saw Yvette with my own eyes. No mention of that. No, that has nothing to do with it. The Black Agenda, that has nothing to do with it. The mayor is attacking Tillery because he's a black leader. Get the hell out of here. I don't buy that one bit. Wendell's better. Wendell's smarter than that. He's playing politics. Wendell's smarter than that. He is playing politics. Get out of here. That makes no sense. And this is what makes me the most dangerous man in Cincinnati media. Because I'm going to keep it real with you. Bar none. Young said the scrutiny was based on race and politics. Oh, it's certainly based on race and politics on some levels. Because Tillery's playing the race card. And this is about politics. This is election year politics. I'm reading that he apologized to Tillery on behalf of the city and said that Tillery had been singled out because he's a black leader who had the nerve to come down here and ask for money. It don't take no nerve in asking for money. What is he talking about? Quote, $5 million in the scheme of things is not real money at all. Wait a minute. $5 million is not real money now, Wendell Young? Man, please somebody tell Wendell. I'll reach out to Wendell myself. You know me. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I know what he's doing. I just saw Wendell. We had a little, I won't say we had a conversation, but, we did actually, a little bit of a conversation. We spoke for a little while over at the last forum at James Temple. He was there with and also current member of City Council, Mr. Charlie Winburn. And I spoke with Charlie a little bit as well. So I get it. I know what Wendell's not really a Cranley fan. And so now it's like, aha, we got you. We got you. I'm going to roll with this. $5 million is not real money? Whoa. That's deep. From what I'm reading, things got testy between Cranley and Young near the end of the meeting when Cranley attempted to adjourn and Young interrupted to say he wasn't done speaking. The mayor said he didn't realize Young wanted to speak again and returned to his seat. Quote, if you got something better to do, go ahead and do it, Young told the mayor. Ooh, that's deep. In front of everybody? What's being reported is where Cranley returned with, quote, nothing would make me happier than to listen to you insult me again. It won't be the last time the health gap comes up to council. The audit is expected sometime before council considers the health gap's requests for $1 million in May. So think about this. This is about to get deep. In May, what else happens this May? You got the primary vote. So again, Cranley is in a hot spot. He really is, whether it's real or not. People are down there. People are paying attention. People will be talking about it. Okay. I'm sure they'll be talking about it on the Lincoln Ware show later today. They may have a different take that I do because, I come super real with you, period. But that's real. Are we going to waste the next less than 2 months arguing about whether the Center for Closing the Health Gap should get its funding? Because to me, the Black Agenda in Cincinnati is much bigger than that, in my opinion. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. This is the Nathan Ivey Show. Nicole writes, the Center for Closing the Health Gap has invested a lot of black community and organizations of color. People are not there defending Dwight, but the good work the Closing the Health Gap does that the news conveniently left out from the Herald, LULAC, churches, etc. Again, they're doing great work, but that audit looks bad. And Nicole, let's be honest here, Cincinnati, who took the first shot? Again, if I missed it, please send me a link. But the first shot that was taken in this battle, the public shot that was taken in this battle between Tillery and the mayor was by Tillery. And if anybody in the chop shop was the mayor of Cincinnati and one of your former, if you want to say friends or whatever, right, is now forming a group to stop you from getting reelected, and it looks like they're using taxpayer dollars, what would you do? Just gonna let that ride? You're going to retaliate. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. I don't care what the circumstances are. Most people in an election year, most people are going to retaliate in some way, shape, or form. Mike writes, I just know that the white media targets black people in this city and I'm not going to be a part of it. Why don't they audit some of those white organizations? Race matters in this city. If you agree with Graxton, you may want to question yourself. Well, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. I mean, just because I agree or Graxton, he agrees with me, don't mean I got to question myself. I would say you got to question yourself. And you got to look beyond just black and white and look at it on the merits of it. And like I told you, when you're using taxpayer dollars, you have to report. You are subject to an audit. How do I know? I did it. I managed over 5 years about $800,000, maybe $900,000 in taxpayer dollars through that program through those 5 years. And every single dollar had to be accounted for. Every single dollar. Now, my bookkeeping skills happen to be exceptional, so that was never a problem. And I got mass accolades through that. But every single dollar has to be accounted for. Every single dollar. Dwight Tillery ain't no damn different. And you getting taxpayer dollars, you're subject to an audit. If you're working in a grant, you've got to report out. That's what it is when you're working with taxpayer dollars. That's just what it is. And anybody who's ever had to work with taxpayer dollars or grants, tell me I'm wrong. You tell me that I'm wrong. It doesn't matter. And I'll say it again for black folks. If you had a white person who was close to the mayor that helped to get the mayor elected, that white person started a nonprofit. Let's call it the Center for Closing the Health Gap. And then it appeared that the CEO of that nonprofit, whose mission statement is to address the health gap, started an interest group called the Cincinnati White Agenda or the Cincinnati Alt Agenda. Black folks would black folks would march in mass on City Hall. They would be beside themselves. There would be 1,000 questions. Why is it any different when it's somebody that's black? Y'all need to wake up, man. Not every black person has your best interest, and not every white person is out to get you. Rhonda writes, Craig, LOL. Well, hopefully we will get the turkey tips from Alabama Q. Support black businesses. You're wrong. Well, you're not wrong. That's funny, Rhonda. That's hilarious. Good morning, KC. Carolyn writes, I just want to know what the fallout is between Tillery and Cranley. Something in the milk ain't clean. Tell me the full story before I make a decision to get on board. Thank you, Carolyn. Ms. D writes, Nate, did you see T.I.'s Twitter response to Donald's comment at Snoop? No, I did not. I'll check it out, though. Akeem writes, you making me a plate this weekend, Angela Kenny? See, there you go. He's a Chop Shop Lothario. He's back. Let me switch gears. There's many other things that I want to bring to the table, but this is a real issue. This is a pertinent issue, and I wanted to make sure I gave you some straight talk on this. And you may not hear this in any other media outlet from a black man's voice, okay? You may not hear that anywhere else in the city of Cincinnati, but you'll never be able to say that somebody didn't tell you. You'll never be able to say that. And, you know, my flow is I'm not anti anybody. I'm not against anybody. I mean, like I told you, I know some of the folks that work over at the Center for Closing the Health Gap, a lot of good people, and I want to see them continue their work. And if their funding is in jeopardy, it's Tillery's fault. Tillery put their funding in jeopardy by starting the Black Agenda and going after the mayor. Now, black folks can say, oh, I love it and get all riled up if you want to, but we'll wait and see in a year from now what this all means for us. Something tells me here we go again with the same old running in circles in the black community that, OK, let's say Tillery gets more funding and that'll be it. It won't touch your life. It won't have an impact in your life whatsoever. Adele writes, I want to know why Trump held a rally in Michigan yesterday talking about bring back of the automotive industry. Obama already revitalized the automotive industry in his first term. Trump's want to be Obama so bad it's hilarious. Trump's talking about Ford hired 700 more people in his first month in office. This fool is crazy. Yeah, there is some Obama envy. Because Obama got a lot of props. He got a lot of props because of the way that he carried himself. He carried himself in a very dignified manner. He was a man of some intelligence, and that translated. And then by bailing out the automotive industry, by bailing out, you know, GM and others, they helped to stabilize and bail out to some degree Ohio as well. Kelly writes, morning, all. Ms. D writes, and maybe uses the money your administration allocated to their nonprofit. Yep, I would have had an audit done too. Angela writes, something is missing and not making sense. I heard him on LW a few times. Angela writes, the whole "where's our money" kicked off something serious. Nicole writes, if a black organization is investing back in our communities to help us toward being self-reliant, we have to stand by them and not fall for divide and conquer. I question things like you, Nate, and I also know that Cranley's objective was retaliation. The same thing he did against Chief Blackwell, Winburn, Malone, Zola, and a long list of other black leaders and organizations. It's unethical for a politician to use their power against citizens or an organization for political retaliation. Listen, Nicole, listen, everybody's entitled to your opinion. There's a lot of validity in what you're saying. I know that to be true. I know how things look. And perhaps you're right. It is unethical, but that's the way the game is played. Nicole, if you were the mayor of Cincinnati and a former ally who you helped get you elected, and you basically write their invoices for their nonprofit that start an interest group and align themselves with people who are running against you, you would do something about it. You wouldn't just sit in your office and say, well, damn, that's a free exercise of democracy. And if the local media, whether it was started by the mayor, because the mayor could have called his friends down to local media, the Inquirer and WCPO, and said, hey, have you looked into what's happening over at the Health Gap? He could have very well did that. But that's the big game of politics. That's how the game goes. That's how the game goes. And like I said, if you're getting taxpayer dollars, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care how good the work is. You still have to report it. You might get an audit. There is not a nonprofit in the world. There's not a nonprofit. I'll keep it in the city. There are no nonprofit organizations in this city that's getting taxpayer dollars that are not keeping the books, that are not keeping proper documentation, that they are actually following through with their mission statement. None of them are. Because when you're dealing with taxpayer dollars, somebody might ask you, where's the money going? And that's completely legitimate. That's completely legitimate. It's completely legitimate. Angela writes, whatever preceded that is what we are out of the loop regarding. Kashana writes, good morning. Miss D writes, show interrupted. Still here. Oh, now it's getting testy between Nicole and Graxton. I'll let y'all deal with that. Oh, damn. Somebody having some issues. Miss D's having issues. I don't like it. We're here. Not sure. Not sure what's going on. I'm hoping that everybody can hear me. We are still here. We are still live. But that is deep. So I get it. But people need to separate. Black people in this city need to separate their feelings and getting all caught up with this race stuff. And hey, maybe you don't even like John Cranley. People keep telling me that he's not a nice guy or he's got like a certain way about himself. That may be true or may not be true. But that's separate from the issues that are being brought up. What is the Black Agenda? Have you noticed how we're not even talking about the Black Agenda and the particular issues? Why did all those people spend all that hard work writing on chalkboards and writing on cue cards if the real Black Agenda is really about Dwight Tillery and the Center for Closing the Health Gap getting more funding? Why waste people's time with that then? Don't even have an agenda. Let's call it what it is. Hence the name of today's podcast. Is the Black Agenda really Dwight Tillery's agenda against Cranley? Now, does that mean I'm picking sides with Cranley? No, absolutely not. That's not why I'm here. But believe me, I'm not the only one who's asking these questions. I've just got more courage than most, right? I'm just going to say it. Because it needs to be said, period. It needs to be said. Here's my number, 513-873-7134. The Nathan Ivey Show comes to you live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then the podcast available from my website, 3Ws or W's .Nathan, Nathan, Ivey.com. Fearless, tearless. This must be the Nathan Ivey Show. We'll be right back.
response to this sound. You're neutral to it. You hear it every time you finish a meal and never feel anything. But if we were able to associate this sound with a new stimulus, save the food, we've achieved pulling a natural response from you. Save the food. Why are we doing this, you may ask? Save the food. Because this ad is trying to change your after-meal behavior through brainwashing. Because food waste costs the average family $1,500 a year. Save the food, cha-ching, and $1,500 extra bucks is like getting a pay raise. Save the food, cha-ching, you're promoted, which could pay for your child's braces. Save the food, cha-ching, you're promoted.
Check out my braces.
So when you hear this sound, rethink your behavior. Cook it, store it, share it. Just don't waste it. For tips and recipes, visit SaveTheFood.com. Brought to you by NRDC.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to ditch the car and start rollerblading to work.
I look ridiculous.
You look ridiculous!
You don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your organs on the black market.
Lie back. This is gonna hurt.
Yeah, that hurts.
You don't need to rent out your apartment to drifters.
I made a fire with the wood in your bedroom.
That's my dresser!
And your closet door.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell all your belongings and live in a commune.
These dungarees belong to all of us now, Tom.
Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
This is fun. I didn't think I liked kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak. Just make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
Yeah, how about a taxi? 233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
I'm Fidel Nshambo. I was born in a city called Bukavu in the Congo. We were a loving family, and then, boom, everything that I had disappeared in a single day. People think that when you are a refugee and they resettle you to America and all your problems are done. They don't understand that that's the beginning of everything. I was not born a refugee. I was made one.
It's time we welcome refugee families with open arms. Learn more at embracerefugees.org.
Wild to have a response to this sound. You're neutral to it.
Today we decided to walk to school. At the corner, we waited to cross the street. The stoplight counted down. 15, 41, 31, 13.
We took a left on Carroll Garden Street.
Garden Street?
Loud music was coming from a car. Danny's a smart kid, but he gets so distracted.
There were so many other sounds, I didn't know what to focus on.
Danny, Earth to Danny. Suddenly he realized he forgot his homework again.
I left my homework on the table.
At the school steps, we hugged goodbye. I really hope he doesn't have another bad day at school today.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free online resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Get personalized recommendations, practical tips, daily access to experts, and more. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now, let's get back to the flow.
My apologies for any technical difficulties. We are live and local, and I'm with you until 9 a.m. this morning. Let me switch gears. There's numerous things going on around the city of Cincinnati, the region, the world. If you want to chime in, 513-873-7134. Good morning to all the choppers. Good morning. Again, we can agree to disagree. I don't have to be right. I'm just giving you one opinion. It could be an opinion, a way to look at this ongoing feud between the mayor and Dwight Tillery. My overall question is, how will this impact the city of Cincinnati? Will it push us forward in a positive way? Is it all about one nonprofit with an African-American CEO getting money, or is it deeper than that? Oh, you tell me, 513-873-7134. And people keep asking me to reach out to Dwight Tillery. I've done so many times before. I've even employed some of the choppers who might have connections to Mr. Tillery. If you've got a connection to Mr. Tillery and, you feel comfortable doing so, please make the connections. I would love to have Mr. Tillery on. I'd have a very fair interview. You know me, I'm a very fair person. But I would ask questions that need to be asked. But let's move on. Many things to discuss. 513-873-7134. That is my number if you would like to share your thoughts. No reason to be shy. No reason to be shy at all. I will take your phone calls. Let me switch gears here completely. Looks like Trump's travel ban has been blocked yet again. And for whatever reason, Trump wants to block Muslims from coming into the country. And this is something that's very important to him and his supporters. And it seems to me that Trump is running down the list of his campaign promises, and he's checking off the boxes. And a lot of people give him props for that, because they say, well, a lot of politicians say things during the campaign, and then when they get in office, they completely change. And that does happen quite a lot, and I don't like it. But I don't give any politician props for following through on bad ideas. The Muslim ban was a bad idea during the campaign trail, and it was a bad idea now that he's the president. And even the Department for Homeland Defense said that Homeland Security, said that in a recent report about 3 weeks ago, and I'm just going to gloss over very quickly and just give you some finer points from that report. What they concluded is that when people come to this country, they're radicalized many times years after being in the United States. That when foreigners, because that's like a bad word now for whatever reason, when they come to this country, Muslim or not, they become radicalized while they're here. And as I said before, I'm much more concerned with domestic terrorism than I am being the victim of some international jihadist. That's just me. I'm not that concerned about that. I'm more concerned about people who are Americans, people who have been living here, they're mentally ill, they've got some kind of disorders, they've got some kind of emotional issues, they've got some kind of grudge like a Dylan Roof. That's what scares the hell out of me. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. Somebody is a good Samaritan. This is charitable giving. Over the weekend, employees at a Goodwill store in Washington were surprised when they opened the lid of a cooler that had been donated to their location and discovered bags filled with about $24,000 worth of marijuana. The cooler contained about 3.75 pounds of marijuana, which investigators said was about $24,000. So what is this, Washington? Is this Washington State? Let me double check here. Is this Washington State or is this the district? Because if it's the district, isn't marijuana legal for recreational use there? I could be wrong. And that's a good Samaritan. I guess they said, hey, homie, hit the block. What? How often does Goodwill receive donations of that? Like, I'm looking at it right now. Somebody dropped off a container And this is like something you might, like, let's say you're tailgating down like the Bengal Stadium right before the game. And it looks like a cooler like that. It's on wheels, full with huge bags of marijuana. Some of it's brown, some of it's green. But it's all going to spend. That is D, 3.5. I still say America is too caught up with the whole marijuana thing. Legalize it. Legalize it. Police officers do not need to put their lives on danger for marijuana. No police officer should ever put their life on the line for something that grows from the earth, marijuana. It's just a waste of taxpayer time and money. And the country is becoming more progressive when it comes to marijuana anyway. Even in the state of Ohio, one day, perhaps 10 years after it's too late, people are going to legalize. It'll be legal recreationally here in the city of Cincinnati. But let me get back to my primary flow here. Now, yesterday, and I told you we'd come back to this, at the end of the show yesterday, I was in the middle of playing an audio clip. And a man was being confronted. And I don't know if he was confronted by the NAACP and or he was confronted by members of the Nation of Islam. But about a week ago, a video surfaced of an Asian store owner who was choking an African-American woman after he accused her of trying to steal from his store. I think she was stealing some fake eyelashes, and somebody said they cost about $10. $10 for fake eyelashes? Is that what you women are spending on the fake eyelashes? I had no idea. Damn, I mean, $10 for fake lashes? $5 an eyelash? That seems extremely out of bounds to me, but it is what it is. And in the first video, and again, I played the audio for you yesterday, you clearly see this man, and it looks like his wife or somebody that works in his store. And they stopped this woman from going out the door. And she kind of fights with him a little bit. And eventually, at the very end, he ends up on top of her. And in the video, like I said, it was very dangerous because he was choking her out. And she's like, I can't breathe. Just like Eric Gardner. Remember that Eric Gardner video from New York? Man, that was hard to take, wasn't it? That was so hard to take because the brother got choked out. He got choked out over nothing. He got choked out over absolutely nothing, over some loose cigarettes. And it looked like this woman was about to get choked out for nothing because she was stealing. Let's say she was trying to steal it. It's $10. You're going to choke somebody out over $10? That seems to be a stress to me, but it did happen. But then some brothers showed up. From the Nation of Islam and also the NAACP. And about this time yesterday, we were checking out the audio, and I want to pick back up on it right here because I think there's a powerful lesson in this. Check this out.
It won't be hard. Sorry is not hard to say.
But saying a proper sorry takes time to think through.
Okay,
it's just saying, like, I'm sorry, does not do it.
Okay, well, our request is 24 hours. But you know that the longer that you wait, the longer your store will be financially challenged. I know. That's why. So it's on you all. No matter, y'all can wait. You wait a month. But do know that people will be out here demonstrating. Did you see the riots in Charlotte like that? And when you choke that sister, you don't know Eric Garner in New York City. Remember the man selling some cigarettes and got choked to death? You remember him? So that you just resurrected something here in Charlotte. It reminds us of Eric Garner. She had eyelashes in her pocketbook. How much do eyelashes cost?
They didn't find anything in her, they didn't find anything in her pocketbook. Let me just say this, sir. We talked a few minutes ago. Let me say this to you. You see other sisters standing here, see us? Black women are to be cherished. The whole point is we're not going to compare this to anyone else.
Well, I don't want to bore you with too much of it, but essentially what happened is people from the community, they actually rose up and they stood up, should I say, and they went back to this store owner. And again, that's a real delicate relationship because a lot of black women buy their beauty care products from stores that are owned for people who are not African American. And I've had these conversations over the years where there's a frustration whether that black people feel like they've been locked out of the black healthcare industry, which is amazing. And black people keep buying. And or I've heard people talk about foreigners, outsiders having store shops in what people consider black communities and then not really treating them right. But I thought this was interesting. I give these men and women props because they didn't tear the place down. They simply said that we're going to boycott your establishment. They came in, talked with the dude, said, look, we need an apology. And they're saying, listen, even if she was stealing, there's a certain standard of respect that we demand that you treat patrons, that you treat, the people that come into your organization, so your business. So I thought that was quite interesting. I really did. And I appreciated those brothers and sisters for going back and speaking with that man and sharing their issues with him. And I mean, it might be an eye-opening situation for him. He might think, you know what? I might think twice about that. But in the first video, it was looking bad. I mean, people kept telling me, Nathan, check out the video. Check out the video. Did you see the video? When I finally saw it, I was like, wow. I was like, absolutely wow. Damn, what did she do? Because I saw the end of the video where she was being choked before I saw anything else. So I'm like, damn, what did she do? But I appreciate what these brothers did. 513-873-7134. I know some folks are saying they were having some issues. Hopefully those have been corrected. I know we are still broadcasting live. Oh, okay. Okay. Hold on a second here. Got some of the choppers who are posting things. And somebody just posted a video from yesterday's events down at City Hall. Shout out to Jordan. I appreciate it. I'm going to go into it right now. Oh, I love compelling video and audio. Let's take a listen to what actually happened yesterday since we spent so much time. I think this is Chris Seelbach put this up. Hopefully Chris won't have a problem with it. I'm not sure. Is there any audio to this or? Oh, there we go. One second, choppers. I'm still here. There we go.
To the mayor and council, I'm here today because I'm supporting the closing of the health gap.
Yeah, I can barely. The audio's a little bit shaky there, but I appreciate it, Jordan. I'll check it out. Again, I was not able to attend yesterday, but you can believe if it's going to be fiery like that, I want to be in the house. I want to be right there. That was deep right there. And I think there's a lot of really, really serious issues that are emanating from this back and forth between Tillery and the mayor, Mr. John Cranley, Mr. Tillery, Mr. John Cranley as well, Mr. Dwight Tillery and the mayor, John Cranley. But what I'm trying to figure out as an African-American that lives in the city, as somebody who thinks that a black agenda is a good idea. But my question is, very humbly is, what is the real agenda? What happened to all that great committee work and all the ideas, and people had these great ideas about what needs to happen and this, that, and the other. It seems like all of that's now in the back burner, and it's just all about whether the city is racist to go after this black man. That's amazing to me. But again, what do you think? 513-873-7134. That is my number. All I ask is that you open your mind before you open your mouth. And before you say, Nate, same to you, I've done that. Thank you very much. I've done that. I've put a lot of thought into this. And I don't think that the reason that the city didn't audit is racist. I don't think it's racism. What evidence is there that it's racism? Simply because Dwight Tillery is an African American? So you're telling me that every time an African American loses a job is racism? You're telling me this is, what evidence does anybody have that this is racism? Because I'd love to see it. And it takes more than just, oh, John Cranley is white and Dwight Tillery's black. Now, some people might say, hey, if this nonprofit was working with folks inside the white community, some black people may say, well, they wouldn't be trying to go after them and audit them. Then it would be more responsible. They care more about the mission statement. That might be your opinion, but what evidence do you have of it? What evidence? So here's my question. Let's say the Center for Closing the Health Gap is having a positive impact in the community, which I believe they are. I believe they're trying to have a positive impact in the community. Okay. And let's say they're funded at whatever levels Dwight Tillery has been previously funded at. In 1 year, is that going to address the multiple issues facing Black Cincinnati? No. The answer is absolutely no. So let's have a couple. Okay, if we're going to have this Black Cincinnati is racism conversation, I can't stop the city. People are going to do what they do. Okay. But can we also have a conversation about the various issues, policies, perhaps ideas that would move Cincinnati and Black Cincinnati forward? Can we do that simultaneously? I would love that. I would love that. And, you know, as I said, you know, this is a flow that not everybody, not all of my listeners are going to agree with. It is. We're not always going to agree. That would be boring. If we agreed all the time, you wouldn't like that. You wouldn't like that. Again, 513-873-7134 if you'd like to share your thoughts. And I'm here until 9 a.m. I'm still here. Let me back up here. See. Wow. Angela writes, the whole "where's our money" kicked off something serious. Yes, it does. See, Carolyn writes, talking to Angela, not sure if you listened to Lincoln or not, but did you hear when Tillery first came on Lincoln's show talking about the Black Agenda? He was turned. I mean, going ham. Then right before this story came out about closing the health guy, Tillery was back on Lincoln's show sounding totally different, very low key, not like the militant he was before the whole story broke. I'm just saying. I did not hear that. And that's the advantage now of having, you know, this morning show, is that you've got multiple places where you can hear people and hear things and issues and opinions, okay, news, information about what's going on. That's the way it should be. I love it. Scott writes, it has been, 11 days since Habanero Hitler accused President Obama of some illegal-ish? Citolini has no evidence? McCain and Graham call him out on it? Citolini? Habanero Hitler, Scott? I can't get past that. Right. There's no evidence of wiretapping. And it's almost like the president incriminated himself, because if the Obama administration was able to get a wiretap in the Trump Tower, that would mean that a FISA court, that a judge, right, that would mean that there's evidence to support wiretapping, which would mean that, you know, maybe Trump was dirty on some level. So I don't think there was any evidence that anything was done illegally by the Obama administration. But again, until we see evidence, what else can we conclude? You can't take Trump for his word. He may say anything. Caller, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Nathan. Sister V, how are you?
Hey, Sister V, good morning.
Good. I was just kind of listening this morning, and you got a loaded show. I really don't quite know where to begin, but let me mention this on with respect to these wig stores, these beauty supply stores. My sister was in the beauty supply business. Actually, she owned a salon for quite some time, and she tried to keep products like Dudley and stuff like that because they were Black-owned and Black-produced and all that. But even back then, a whisper campaign started about the Dudley products, and then Black people didn't want to buy them. And then you have where I think they are either Vietnamese or Korean. They're either or. But they actually have, I don't want to say a mafia, but it's very hard for people to buy the products that they sell because they're selling them through some sort of pipeline they have. Don't get me to going on that, but I know she was saying it was very difficult for them to buy products like that. And I remember years ago, I think the game in town was Mr. Parker's, and eventually he was having a hard time, you know, getting products in, and as those stores were starting to come up, and it just kind of choked him out. But having said that, I didn't know either that those eyelashes were that expensive. I thought you were going to say like $2.99. But real quick, though, on this situation with Tillery, you know, Nathan, you raised some really good questions.
My biggest concern right now are two. One, under Cranley's leadership, I cannot think of one white person that has ever been put, under scrutiny since he's been there. And something that Yvette Simpson mentioned about his leadership style, which is very divisive, and it has been for quite some time. And so with this situation, I just feel like, Tillery's situation is just right along with all the rest of them. I think when people are saying racist, they're like what I heard yesterday. I went down there for a little bit, but they're saying like really it's the totality. It's the whole ever since he's been in office. Very, very divisive leadership. And so that's why they're saying it's racist, because they're kind of lumping Tillery's situation in with a whole string of other folks, black folks, who have become targets of his administration. But the biggest thing I'm worried about right now is we have two other black people who are running for office against him. And if we are not careful, if we do not scrutinize these two other candidates, what he's sitting back in the cut doing is saying, you know what, I'm just going to sit back and the vote is going to be split because there's still Cranley supporters, black Cranley supporters. And he's going to sit back and he's going to gain because we have two other black people who are going to split the black vote. And to me, I really hope we don't get off track and not focus on that aspect either. If you don't like Cranley's leadership style, then we've got some work to do to make sure that we get a viable candidate who really can stand against him and coming up in November. Well, this is coming up in May, but then ultimately in November. So I just don't want people to lose sight of that. I'm very, very concerned, actually, about that piece of it. But thanks for taking my call, and I'm glad you are raising some hard questions. I saw Tillery at, I forget what event it was, and I did give you a shout-out. I asked him, please, get with Nathan Ivey and get on his show. He told me he would, but I'm going to stay on his case to do that, okay?
Okay, and since you said that, and it's you, Sister V, I'm going to reach back out to him then, and maybe he's just busy. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
He's busy, but like I said, I made sure in the time I had with him, I need you to get with Nathan, and I'm going to do it again. So like I said, if he starts getting requests from different folks, and I would encourage your listeners as well, start shooting him some phone calls and some messages. We need to get him on your show because you are asking some very, very good questions that, to me, only he can answer.
True. There are some questions that only he can answer. Well, Sister V, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Have a good day.
Have a great day.
Have a good day.
Absolutely. And since Sister V said that, and I know that, I'm sure that Dwight respects Sister V. I'm sure he knows her. She's in the community. She's not just a talker. She's a woman of action. Perhaps Mr. Tillery's busy, and I'll reach out to him again within the next 24 hours. I will reach back out. I will reach back out to Miss Mahaffey. I spoke with her in the Center for Closing the Health Gap, face to face. She knows who I am. She's very familiar with me. So I'll reach back out again because then there are certain questions that only he can answer. And again, it's not about trying to snipe at anybody. These are just questions. This is the media. It's what we do. It's what should be done anyway. But thank you so much for listening. I appreciate your time this morning. This show will be made available as a podcast. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find my contact information at my website, NathanIvey.com. Or I'm on Facebook, Twitter. Facebook's a great way. Send me a direct message. I will respond. If you sent a message and I haven't responded, I haven't seen the message, and I'll double check again because sometimes that does happen. But thank you so much for listening. Shout out to my good friends at SoulPublicRadio.com, the first affiliate of the show. If you're listening on TuneIn, hey, thank you for listening. You might be listening on iTunes, checking out the podcast. Thank you for listening. Shout out to my new friends, the X-Squad affiliates. A shout out to my patrons. A shout out to Team NI. A shout out to everyone who's listening. Perhaps we picked up some new listeners today. We go live weekdays, 7 a.m. until 9 a.m. This is Cincinnati's #1 internet talk show. And we grow every single day. Now we are at 5,500 subscribers and growing. And it's all because of you. Thank you so much. And to all of my patrons, those who qualify for the Platinum Fan Backstage Pass, I will announce it on Friday. I've come up with a very democratic way of choosing a winner. And one lucky listener will join me for a couple of segments and be my co-host. And I'm really excited. Make sure you listen very early on Friday. And if you're not listening and you win, of course, I'll contact you via the email address that you've given me. So thank you so much. I'm excited about that. We grow every single day. Tell one person about the Nathan Ivey Show. Help us grow. And share this podcast. Feel free to share this podcast with friends, family members, whomever you think might like it. My name is Nathan Ivey. Until next time, I'm out.